up on Inside the NRL. The fallout from Latrell Mitchell's high shot continues. We'll bring you the latest as the Roosters are whacked with $40,000 in fines and South superstar fullback is hit for 6. The Eels ended the Storm's record winning streak, so are Parramatta back in the premiership race? Re-signed Raider Jordan Rapana joins us live as Canberra's finals hopes go on the line one last time. And Josh Morris joins Brett in retirement. But will the brothers one day form the ultimate NRL coaching duo? Thanks for joining us for Inside the NRL. Yes, plenty coming your way as we count down to the final regular season round of the competition, which sadly means this is the last weekend with 8 games of footy to watch. The good news is I'm joined by 2 of the most argumentative men involved in rugby league, Jamie Soward.
Zach.
How are you?
Good, mate.
And Michael Chammas from the Sydney Morning Herald. How are you?
I don't argue. What are you talking about?
No, you guys love each other, don't you? All love this afternoon, they're guaranteed. But I'll tell you what, they might be argumentative, but they both agree that on Friday night it was another fiery chapter in the Book of Feuds as the Roosters and the Rabbitohs reignited the game's greatest rivalry, and both teams are feeling the pinch. The Roosters have today been hit with a proposed fine of $40,000, and here is why. Half of that was for Trent Robinson's comments in his post-match press conference. A suspended $10,000 will be activated if the Roosters are found to have breached NRL rules regarding public commentary on match officials. The breach notice also proposes a further $10,000 for alleged abuse of match officials. The NRL is also continuing to investigate allegations a Sydney Roosters player had an altercation with a broadcast cameraman during the game. Now, Sowie, there's been so much, more than enough commentary about the bunker and how this was dealt with on field by match officials. But let's focus on Latrell Mitchell and the impact this has on South Sydney. When you first saw the replay of Latrell Mitchell's hit on Joey Manu, what was your initial reaction?
It didn't look good. I thought he was going to be sent off. I was very surprised to see that he only got 10 in the bin, but with the force with which he hits Joe Manu's face really stood out for me. And Latrell's an aggressive player, and I love watching Latrell Mitchell, but I just think this occasion you see him come in there and he gets it all wrong. He's trying to put on a big hit and dislodge the ball, but it just went wrong. It was just a real aggressive play. And we've seen in the past players who would like to play nice and aggressive get it all wrong, but yeah, I was surprised that he stayed on the field.
Michael, grade 2 reckless high tackle, which has come with a 6-week suspension. Do you agree with that, or is it too harsh?
On the night, I thought to myself, it's probably worth 4 or 5 weeks. I thought he deserved to see out the rest of the season, and the fact that South Sydney haven't actually fought this and they're going to accept the 6-week plea suggests that they don't think they're any chance of getting off it. I think it's about right. He's got 5 weeks plus loading takes him to 6 weeks. If he fought and lost, it would have been 9 weeks. I think they made the right decision. I think they would have embarrassed the club, and I don't think they needed to put Latrell Mitchell through all that, going in there and fighting it and having the commentary around it for the next few days. It would have been detrimental to Latrell Mitchell. I think they've done the right thing. They've accepted it. They realise the consequences of what Latrell Mitchell did. People will say, oh, he didn't do it on purpose. It's irrelevant whether he intended to hit him in the head or didn't. He did. Look at the ramifications. He's now in hospital with a fractured cheekbone. Look, it's sad to see the way the season's ended for Latrell, but unfortunately, he plays the way he does. Sometimes you take a risk, and he's paid the price this time, and so have South Sydney.
Okay, so Latrell has found himself in a similar situation earlier this year, Sowie. So is it a defensive issue as a fullback? He doesn't know how to find him or get in the right position when he's defending as a fullback, or is he too aggressive?
He's
aggressive. Is there such thing as
No, because you're playing a contact sport. I just think he's an aggressive style player who's gotten it wrong. You know, the David Nofaluma one was a little bit different, I think. Yeah, this one's full strength, right there. That's probably just silly that's reckless from Latrell Mitchell.
That's a reflex thing.
Yeah, that's just reckless from that. But I'm looking at the Joe Manu one to come in swinging around. Yeah, that's frustration. There's nothing to do with that aggression. So 2 totally different incidents and 2 totally different results.
Okay, so how does he make sure he doesn't find himself in this same position in 12 months' time where it could cost himself or the team a spot in the finals?
I reckon Wayne would have sat down with him and had a heart-to-heart and said, we didn't need you to do that. At that stage in the game, we didn't need you to do that. you need to think bigger picture here because he's such an influential player, not only for the Rabbitohs, but for the game as well. He's such a big name in the NRL that he didn't need to do that. He's such a great player. So I think they would have had a heart-to-heart. And next year, he's going to have to taper it down. Otherwise, he's going to spend even longer on the field.
He's an alpha male, Latrell Mitchell. Like he would have seen Joey Manu coming, no malice intended, and thought, I'm going to let you know that I'm here. And that's what he's done in this situation. And, he likes to let people know he's there, and he's done it. And unfortunately, he's straight. He's gone high. And I don't think it's a matter of, I wanted to hurt this guy. They're very, very close friends. I think Latrell's really remorseful in the aftermath. But at the end of the day, you go that hard, he takes the risk. And people will argue, he shouldn't have gone that hard, or what else is he supposed to do? At the end of the day, there's a duty of care there to the players. And Joey Manu didn't change direction there. He didn't deviate. Latrell could have altered the way he defended there and didn't, so he'll pay the price.
Now, you spoke about all the talk, this is all we've been talking about all weekend. We're 3 or 4 days on, but whenever Latrell decides to front the cameras, this is still going to be a topic. So should he front the cameras this week?
Oh, yeah, look...
Because, if he doesn't talk now until January next year or February and whatever... He's going to be. Look, this matter isn't over until he fronts the cameras. The
journalist in me will say that I'll be telling South Sydney he needs to talk, he needs to address it. But there'll also be a chain of thought that he let this die down a bit. Give it some oxygen.
I don't think
when everyone calms down.
I don't think there's any need for Latrell to speak on it anymore. There's nothing he could come out and say that is not going to divide opinion. He could just let it rest. Yeah.
But nothing ever rests in this game, so he speaks in 6 months.
We'll move on to the finals, Zac. We'll get distracted.
Why do it twice? If he speaks now, it's going to dominate the next week, and then the next time Roosters play South, it's going to be brought up all week. Or just rip it off Band-Aid once every time, the next time they play.
He will want to come out and apologise to Joey Manu. That's the
But I reckon he's already apologised.
Oh, he sent him a message straight away. I'm not sure if the correspondence was reciprocated. I imagine it would have. And we saw Joey Manu's dad today in the Sydney Morning Herald saying he's really concerned for Latrell Mitchell, which was nice to see the care. They are very close. Whether he comes out publicly and says he's sorry is another story altogether.
Okay, as I said, we want to know how this affects South Sydney. So Wayne Bennett, Adam Reynolds, is their dream farewell out of Redfern gone?
Depends on whether Melbourne and Penrith hit their straps, because they're not quite where they were at the middle of the year. If they go to the level we expect them, I don't think Latrell Mitchell being there or not being there would have impacted on the grand final teams. However, if Penrith continue to struggle, and by struggle, it's a you use that word loosely because they're still a pretty good football team, then South Sydney are in with a chance. Do you agree, Sowie?
Did you say Penrith struggle?
You know what I'm talking about. They look a little bit clunky.
They had.
Did they look good yesterday against the West Tigers?
Did you watch the game when they played South? They had 2 gears left.
Yeah, I know.
They're getting ready for the finals. Okay. They're fine, Penrith.
Okay. Did you watch it against the Tigers?
It did ruin the slimmest chance they had. I put a line through them already. Started to erase it a little bit, but I didn't see enough against Penrith. For me, they looked like they'd run out of gas in terms of the forward pack. The younger forward pack for Penrith ended up running over top of them, and Cleary's at the top of his game. So the only hope they have is if CW, Cody Walker, just goes absolutely berserk the next month and just tears the competition up, which he can do.
He can do. All right, as one team appears to exit the premiership race, perhaps another one has re-entered it. Parramatta upsetting Storm on Saturday night. Sowie, are the Eels a genuine contender once again?
No, I don't think so. And we're not going to learn much this week with the last week and jostling for position and stuff like that. I came out of that game for Parramatta with more questions than answers about what they've been doing. They've put Mitchell Moses back on the right-hand side, Dylan Brown back on the left. That's the best game Dylan Brown's played all year. He ran the ball, he was taking short sides, he was able to come up with some really big plays. He looked enthusiastic and energetic on that left-hand side. He looked really, really happy. Moses, last play option, still a little bit dicey on the weekend, but that was the most in sync that the 9, 7, 6 and 1 have looked pretty much all year, and it's because they've gone back to their normal side. So I'm find myself, Chammas, wondering why this didn't happen earlier, and where was this desperation when their backs were against the wall? Like, this has come too late for me.
Yeah, it's a fair point, and the other thing that people have been saying over the last few months is the roster's not good enough. Well, we just saw the roster's good enough. They might not have the superstar. They don't have the out-and-out superstar, but it's still a pretty good football team with a lot of talent across the park.
Yeah, but defensively, that play right there from Dylan Brown, this is what, like, look at this. They've been coming up and in, they've been making their own decisions on an edge. On the weekend, they scrambled like boys, this is the game to get into the grand final. Now, it may not be anything, and I don't think, if they come up against, in a couple of weeks, and they come up against the Raiders side, I still think that they're vulnerable. But I just don't know where this has been. Like, you don't just flick the switch like that.
Well, it shows they care, right? Because if they didn't, they would have...
But where was it a month ago?
Yeah, but it's a long season. It's a long season?
I know it's a long season.
Okay, right? So what do you ask me if you don't
what I'm saying is, how were they able to put that performance in when it was a month too late?
Because they've been bashed for a month. They've been bashed for a month.
They had a chance to set themselves up to have a real crack at this. I had them in the conversation up until 6 weeks ago.
Why don't you have confidence that they can maintain this?
Because out of the last 8 weeks, I've seen it once. I've seen that desperation once. We didn't see it against Manly. They conceded 50 points. And we know that everyone in the media knows the stat around the 50 points. Plus, they haven't got their combinations right. The only slight little bit of hope, if Cody Walker's souths, is they've got Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses playing on the right side. But why did it take 23 rounds? There's something's missed there. They've missed the boat there by switching those guys' sides. And they looked comfortable on the weekend. They looked happy. This is a side that's won 2 games out of the last 8, and that's the happiest they looked on the weekend.
I don't think you can just say they've switched sides. Like their defence was disgusting the last 6 weeks.
Is that the best that they've attacked?
It's an attitude thing. Yeah, the best that they've attacked.
It's not an attitude thing. Is that the best?
You just said it was. Where has it been for the last 8 weeks?
Where has it been?
It's an attitude thing.
Is that the best that they've attacked?
Okay, yes.
Right. It's because Moses on the right-hand side. Yeah, defensively it works as well because you've got a talker over here and where they've been getting exposed on the right-hand side, Mitchell Moses taking control. And you've got left-hand side, Dylan Brown.
Does Micah Sivo's omission mean anything as well?
No.
Well, in round 2, Micah Sivo was the man of the match against the Storm. They've beaten them twice now. But anyway, we've got to move on. Does Brad Arthur change his approach? There's talk he might rest 8 players this week against the Panthers. But surely, if you beat the Storm, you beat the Panthers leading into a final series where everyone's doubting you, you take in a lot of momentum. Yeah,
I think they've had a plan 2 weeks out that they're going to rest them, and I think they'll stick with that plan. You're right, though. There's a validity in thinking that we need to keep this momentum going. But from my understanding, Parramatta are going to stick to the plan and rest some players.
Rest them. And you know the other thing that worked really well for them? Bryce Cartwright coming on a little bit earlier, just that little bit of ball movement, like the good teams have with Isaiah Yeo, Cameron Murray. He came on just to provide a little bit of width to be able to spread them out. Instead of trying to play that bash and barge game and offload, they actually had a little bit of ball movement. It was good.
This time last year, the Panthers didn't suffer the loss that many critics and experts say they needed to go on and win the grand final. Sowie, is this the loss the Storm needed given their dominance throughout the year?
Yeah, I think they look like they've had a heavy workload at training, which the teams do. You know, this is taper-off period now, the next couple of weeks, and you go into games sometimes a little bit tired. The only thing the concern for me, boys, when I watch Melbourne Storm, they do have a tendency to start a little bit slow. They didn't have this last year. They had Cameron Smith there. If they were up against it the first 5 minutes, he could wrestle it back really, really quickly. The last month against the Titans, they've had opportunities where to blow teams out, and they've started really, really sloppily and slow, and they've had to wait to half time, and you could see the players going, oh man, when we go at half time, we know we're going to get a rocket. Whereas last year, they seemed like Cameron Smith could coach them on the run.
The Pappenhausen, Nicho Hynes debate, where do you sit? Who starts in the finals?
Well, it'd be easy to say go with the hot hand and start Nicho Hynes, but I think he will start with Pappenhausen, and Nicho Hynes will come off the bench. And the other thing that they didn't get right on the weekend is Brandon Smith has to start as your 9. I said he's the best hooker in the world, and I still believe that. He has to start as your number 9. Where does that push Nicho Hynes in terms of if he's going to come off the bench? We'll have to wait and see because they can't carry both of them.
What are Melbourne's rivals?
Nicho may miss out altogether.
Yeah.
Like that's a reality. Like Asofa Solomona, Kamakamitha, those guys come off the bench.
Does the fact that Nicho's leaving play into your consideration at all?
No, and it won't Craig Bellamy.
What do Melbourne's rivals learn from Parramatta's performance? Have they uncovered the blueprint to beat the Storm?
I don't know if it's so much of a blueprint, but Parramatta were disciplined and they kicked early. They turned that big Melbourne pack around and made them come off their own end, and they took their opportunities. They didn't second-guess their play. If you're going to beat Melbourne, you have to chance your arm a little bit and trust that you've done the work and read the play. That first try to Ferguson, the pass, was all instinct in terms of what they've watched during the week and just throwing the pass.
Okay, finally, one-word answers. Who's your favourite? Melbourne? Penrith?
Melbourne.
Penrith.
Ooh, I love it. All right, 3 months after Brett Morris announced his retirement from the NRL, his brother Josh has today announced that he will also call it a day. 320 games plus in the NRL, 15 appearances for his state and 6 tests for Australia. Let's hear from the retiring Rooster.
To Brett, my best mate. We've literally been on this journey together from the start. I wouldn't be half the player I am. I would be nowhere near the player I am without you pushing me. Spending time apart from each other, different clubs, just pushed us to high heights. We were able to play for Australia together, for New South Wales together, but I'll be forever grateful for, and I love you, mate.
All right, Josh Morris, he becomes the fourth big-name Rooster to retire this season. Soward, you were lucky enough to play alongside Brett, who you said was the best winger that you've ever seen. You played alongside Josh. Where does he rank in terms of centres you've played alongside? Oh,
one of the best. Defensively, I think Matt Cooper's probably the best centre that I've played with. And then you look at Bo Scott, who sacrificed the back row to pretty much do all my work. But, Josh Morris is right there. And I only played for a little bit with him at the Dragons. But his ability to be able to read the play and come up with the big moments, going to the Bulldogs, I think really, ignited something in him. He wanted to prove a point. But every time he put on a rep jersey, whether it be for Australia or New South Wales, he was easily one of their best players, their most consistent players. That's why he was able to have longevity in the game.
Michael, both brothers have ambitions to be coaches. We've seen the Walker brothers do it in the Queensland Cup. But can you one day see Brett and Josh teaming up to be the ultimate NRL coaching duo? It'd be a special story. But
yeah, you'd like to see it. I wonder who the good cop, bad cop is. You got to have a good cop in it. Knowing them so well, who's the good cop in there?
Brett.
Yeah?
I think, yeah.
He's
sharp.
Josh's retirement day. At least be nice to the bloke. Let him be good cop.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't spent time with them for a long time, but they've definitely, I think they've matured. I spoke this about Brett. They've both matured a lot since they've gone to the Roosters. I reckon they've expanded their knowledge of the game by being at such a successful club. So you could see them potentially coaching together.
Michael, agree?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay, leave it there. All right, the Raiders would love to be part of their third straight final series, and they've received a boost on the eve of the finals. Jordan Rapana has re-signed with the club for a further 2 seasons, and we're lucky enough to be joined by Jordan right now. Jordan, thanks so much for joining us on Inside the NRL.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
So you're up in Queensland, you're a Queensland boy. So tell me, why have you recommitted to the Raiders for the next 2 seasons?
I love it down there, man. Well, obviously I'm up in Gold Coast as we're speaking, but I love it down in Canberra. It's become my home away from home. My wife's from there, and I spent the last 7 years there, and it's really grown on me. And but as a team and as a squad, it's I've got something special there, and obviously this year there's been some close games that we've lost, and we're not where we want to be on the ladder, but I still believe that there's something building here, and I want to be a part of it.
Jordan, you've obviously moved around a little bit throughout the year. You've played fullback the last couple of weeks with C&K coming back, but Simonson, Sebastian Chris, Tomoko, where do you see your position in this squad? Is it fullback? Is it on the wing? Where would you like to play?
Anywhere in the 17, eh? Probably the last couple of years I've filled in, like you said, in fullback. Last year I covered in at centre there for quite some time when we had some injuries there, and played off the bench in the back row. So I'm happy to put my hand up wherever Stick needs me. But in terms of my favourite and preferred positions, definitely on the wing. As long as I can keep continuing to do a job for the club on the wing, then that's my position.
Jordan, in the middle of the season when George Williams left the club, a lot of talk externally about the culture of the place, where the players were unhappy, happy with Ricky Stewart. What's changed? Because it seems as though at some point in the year, the boys got together and thought, you know what, enough's enough. We need to play the way that people expect of us.
Yeah, there was obviously one of the games that stand out to me was the Titans game midway through the season, where we got 40 unanswered points put on us, and this is nothing to take away from the Titans. They're a good quality team, but at the time they were in the bottom 8, and it was a bit of a kick in the face for us. And I know that as a team we give our efforts every single week, and it was just poor execution that was letting us down. And in areas of our game. And we addressed that, and we really took that loss to heart. And obviously came out the next week. And, I think it was the Dragons. We got a win, and then kind of just snowballed effect into the Sharks and to Parramatta. And we just needed that one little win just to give us the confidence. And as we knew, we have such a strong team, and we have such good players that can win big games.
Jordan, one of the great modern-day rivalries is the Raiders against the Roosters. Thursday night, so much on the line. Your finals hopes go on the line. You beat them in the semi-final last year when you were underdogs. What gives you the confidence that you can get the job done this week and ensure yourselves of a shot in the top 8?
Oh, just pretty much what I touched on before. We have a quality team, and where we are on the ladder, I believe, doesn't show the team that we actually are. We lost probably maybe 5 or 6 games this year by less than 2 points. So, you win those games, you're fighting for a top 4 spot. So, I do believe we're strong contenders, and, it's unfortunate for what happened with Joey and Takiaho, but, it's a big bonus for us. They're quality players, and them being out is, a massive boost for us.
Jordan, talk to me about the role that Jack Whiten's taken with no halfback this year, or no consistent halfback this year. He's really stood up the last couple of weeks. You must be impressed with how he's leading the side.
Yeah, Jack's a massive leader for us. When he's on, it's just spreads like wildfire through the team. So his strength too for Jack is his running and his defence, and when he gets that right, we all just feed off that with his energy. So it's been awesome to see him back to his best, and I know he'll kill it this week too.
Jordan, when you retire one day, when we look back at your highlights, a lot of those will feature Joey Leilua on your inside. I just want to ask about your old friend, your old partner there out wide. It looks like his time in the NRL is drawing to a close, and his time with the West Tigers hasn't gone to script. What do you say to the clubs out there looking at BJ Leilua? Is his time in the NRL done? How do you get the best out of him?
I miss my big mate, Beach. He's a great bloke, and I know a lot of people have their perception of him and whatnot, but I love the fella dearly, and he's become one of my best mates through footy. And to answer your question, I really don't know the answer to that. I think you probably need to ask BJ that. It's more if BJ gets his head right and his mental state right, then he can be one of the best, most dangerous centres in the competition, and he showed that before. But I think for BJ it's just his consistency in doing that, and but I still believe that he's got plenty of football ahead of him, and I think Sticky probably was, out of the clubs that he's been to, has probably handled him worked with BJ the best that any coach has, and that's probably why he had the success that he had here. And I wouldn't like to see BJ hang the boots up, because I know that he's got plenty left ahead of him, and I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully we see BJ Leilua re-find the form that he had alongside you down in the nation's capital. But it's time for you to focus on the Roosters this week. Best of luck on Thursday night. Congratulations on the new deal, and thanks for joining us on Inside the NRL.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Just quickly on BJ, what are your thoughts on where he'll end up?
Yeah, there's not a lot of love for BJ at the moment, unfortunately. His time at the West Tigers hasn't gone to plan, given the chance there by Michael Maguire. And Jordan touched on the situation. I think it comes down to the right coach, right environment. We saw under Wayne Bennett at the Knights, he showed glimpses of what he's capable of, went to the Raiders and was sensational inside of Jordan Rapana. So we'll be interested to see if he gets another gig, but at this stage, not looking good. All
right, we've got to move on. It's time for this week's Casualty Award, brought to you by Chemist Warehouse. And as we know, Joey Manu's season is over. Thanks to that Latrell Mitchell high shot, Manu will return next year after undergoing successful facial reconstruction surgery in Brisbane. His Roosters teammate, Siwa Torkaiaho, has been cleared of any serious damage. Like Torkaiaho, Adam Reynolds left the field with a knee injury on Friday night before later returning. The South skipper is set to be rested this week. Storm winger Josh Adokar needs scans on his hamstring, while Eels captain Clint Gutherson is set to miss his first NRL match through injury since 2018 after copying a knock to his knee against Melbourne. Sean Lane and Murata Niokore both failed HIAs against the Storm and need to pass concussion protocols to face Penrith. Joe Tarpany hopes he'll overcome a knee injury before Thursday night's must-win match against the Roosters. The same goes for Bailey Simonson, who has a groin injury. Titans co-captain Kevin Proctor has an AC joint problem and will be monitored this week. Chad Townsend's time in a Warriors jersey appears over after his ongoing shoulder injury forced him off against the Raiders. Sadly, Matt Dury suffered the dreaded ACL injury, so we won't see him until mid-next year. The news is better for West Tigers back rower Alex Seyfarth, who avoided any serious damage to the knee injury he returned from in round 24. All right, it's time now for Hit or Miss. And it's time to take a look at the NRL ladder for the final time heading into the last round of the competition. The good news is the race for the top 8 is still on. As you can see, we've cut the ladder down to 10 as the Raiders and Titans are the only 2 teams that can force their way into the top 8. 7th is settled rather. The Knights will remain there no matter what. 4th spot is still up for grabs. The Storm, they could be minor premiers for a 4th time in 6 years if they win on the weekend. Let's look at the matches that matter this weekend. We'll know before 8 p.m. Friday if the Raiders will be playing finals footy. Realistically, if Canberra are to scrape into the top 8, they need to beat the Roosters and have the Sharks lose to the Storm. The Eels will be rooting for the Raiders and Cowboys and hope they beat the Panthers to keep their top 4 hopes alive. The Titans, meanwhile, need the Raiders and Sharks to lose and must make up a 23-point differential gap on Cronulla to pull off a mini miracle. Michael?
What's the question?
You put your pen up. No, it's coming now. All right, so there will be no changes to the top 8. Sowie?
Miss. Raiders. They'll get in there.
They're in.
They're in.
I'm going to go hit. I think the Sharks, with a rested Storm side, will get the job done and book their spot in the 8.
That would be a massive victory for them.
Huge.
These teams are just playing for one.
Well, given what they've been through, though, like John Morris earlier this year.
In the scheme of things,
they lost
Sorry, I thought you meant.
Townsend.
But you're saying it's a huge win against an arrested Storm team.
You know what? It's a massive. I've been very impressed with Braden Trindle. Huge game for him. If he can get it done in the clutch, he may start the 7 next year.
All right. There are concerns teams resting players could have a bearing, as these guys just said, on another team's finals chances. So the NRL should introduce a pre-finals bye. Michael?
I'm going to say hit. I like it. I'm not very passionate about it, but I don't mind the idea that you've put forward here. I think that, a lot of guys come into the semi-finals underdone. Let's get our best players feeling fresh, fit and firing. But I don't know what you're going to do to fill our weekends if you're going to give us a week off, though. What are you going to do? Maybe a Nines tournament. With the teams that miss out, I'm sure they'll be thrilled after a mad Monday. Sowie?
Miss. I've been an advocate for years. I think you need a week off before the grand final. Have a Super Bowl type build-up, 2 weeks going in, play the All-Stars game then so you don't have no footy that weekend. And unless you're going to have State of Origin standalone for 3 weeks, you can't have a bye at the end of the year to reward those players.
If you have a week off before the grand final, though, you don't fix the issue of teams resting players in round 25.
Doesn't work. I don't care about that.
He doesn't think logic.
I care about the grand final.
Argue with me.
That's right.
Mitchell Pearce will be at the Newcastle Knights in 2022. He's contracted there next year, Sowie.
Yeah, hit. I don't see why they would move on. They've got a chance to get it right now. Clifford's been a good buy, and in the off-season together they may further that combination. But I think with Saifidi next year, look, they've underachieved this year, the Newcastle Knights, even though they've finished 7th. Their style of play, they're minus 130, so they can't defend or stop anyone. So, I can't see why he would move on.
I'm not convinced. I'm going to say miss. Look, Mitchell Pearce is happy at Newcastle. He's got 1 more year to run there. And if you ask Mitchell Pearce, I'm sure he'd want to finish his career at the Knights. Now, whether that happens or not is going to determine on what happens November 1, because clubs are circling for Mitchell Pearce. I wrote today the West Tigers have floated the idea about chasing him as a potential half alongside Luke Brooks. The Raiders are looking at him. The Dogs are looking at him.
Why would the Tigers get him and play 2 halves together?
What?
Why would they play 2 halfbacks together?
Well, there's a feeling that Luke Brooks is maybe better served to being number 6, take away the manager.
If they haven't worked that out by now,
Do you agree that's the right way?
If he's not your 7, moving him out of position doesn't fix anything.
Well, he's clearly not thriving at the moment under the system that's there. So anyway, you've hijacked my answer. What was I saying?
You're saying...
I'm saying that Mitchell Pearce, yeah. So if November 1 he gets an offer to go somewhere else in 2023, then he'll go to the Knights and say, look, guys, what's going on? Do you want me or not long term? And they've got a decision to make because Kalen Ponga to 6 potentially, and then they got Jake Clifford on a couple more years. So some decisions to be made.
There's been talk about a Pearce move to Catalans in the Super League. Surely he's not ready for that yet.
No. They're interested. I don't know if Mitchell's ready.
A lot of clubs would be interested. Yeah. Experienced halfback, game management, a lot of teams.
He'd kill it over there, surely.
He's still up. I'd say he's still the top 5 halfbacks in the comp.
Don't be surprised if the Raiders are a good halfback away from being back on the map.
The Ricky Stewart influence, perhaps. All right. If 2 bids need to merge, then Redcliffe should get the next NRL licence. Michael?
Miss. I don't. Look, by the time this team comes in, whether they're merged or not, we're not going to know. They're going to be the Brisbane whatever they are. So they're going to...
Brisbane whatever they are. That's a really good, strong
the Firehawks and the Jets, there's a little bit of back and forth about what they're going to be called. The Fire Jets, the Jet Hawks, whatever you want to call them. Maybe they can sign James Roberts. Then it doesn't matter whether they have to merge or not. It's irrelevant. Whoever's got the strongest bid gets in. And if those 2 merging gets them in pole position, then so be it.
Yeah, hit for me after Chammas babbled on there for a bit. I love Redcliffe at the moment. What they're putting on, the shows they're putting on, the stadium there, it'll be packed every single week. Good place to visit as well. I think Redcliffe should get it.
All right, finally, Nathan Cleary is fast becoming one of the game's best playmakers. If not, he is the best. Here's what Andrew Johns had to say about Nathan Cleary's potential.
I hope he goes through his career injury-free, and if he does that, I believe he'll be right up there. You know, I think he probably will go past a lot of things I did. He's creating more. He's taking the line on more. So he's very close to being the complete halfback at a very young age. So, yeah, I think he's well on his way.
So Nathan Cleary will be the best number 7 the game has ever seen. Jamie Soward.
Oh, miss for me. Joey and Jonathan Thurston. Yeah, it's going to... I'm an American sports fan. You know, I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to titles. You know, if he gets a title this year and he's able to win it up, grand finals are hard to win. So, you know, he's had a chance already. If he's able to get 1 or 2, then, you know, the conversation... But it's a hard conversation to have right now, knowing that he's so young as well.
But when Andrew Johns, arguably the greatest ever...
Well, Joey's not going to say I'm the greatest ever.
No, I get that.
You do.
But when those words come out of Joey's mouth...
yeah, they mean something. Yeah, that's stock in that. But I'm just saying, it's hard now. Jonathan Thurston's bloody good. Andrew Johns is bloody good.
If you actually look at the numbers of the same age and what they've achieved, Nathan's ahead of...
The game's completely different.
Yeah, I understand, but he's tracking that way. I'm going to say miss as well. I think it's disrespectful to JT and to Joey to say hit, but he's tracking at a very good level. He'll be in the conversation if he continues the way he is. The
one thing I'll say about Joey is that he revolutionised the way halfbacks play the game.
Well, Cleary's on track to do that. He's, like Joey said, he's almost a complete halfback. He runs, he's strong defensively like Joey was. His kicking game's probably the best in the competition at the moment.
Is he looking better because there aren't many good 7s out there? Like, is his value in the competition?
There's not... How do I say this without... The quality of 7s at the moment isn't as strong as what it has been previously, in the last generation. You know, JT was playing against Cooper Cronk.
Yeah.
Now, Cleary's, he's streets ahead with probably DCE and Adam Reynolds. They're the top 3, so...
Yeah, OK. All right, well...
And Jerome Hughes, sorry.
Yeah, Jerome Hughes.
Big Jerome Hughes.
One of the most improved players in the NRL this year. It's now time for your champ and chum.
Yeah, champ this week. Do you want to do champ or chump first?
You champed Michael earlier in the show.
He did.
Did I?
Big moment.
I noticed that, yeah.
Big.
Did I? He didn't just champ me, he called me champion.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
The lack of respect.
What do I want to do first, champ or chump?
Let's go champ.
Okay, champ this week is one of my man crushes, Bud Sullivan, Jade Sullivan, giving himself a high 5. Now, quick reaction here from the little fella because... He realises it gets brushed there by Jack de Belin and just realises, you know what, I'll make inside the NRL and give myself a high five. So, good kid. And I tell you what, he's making a real go of it at the number 9 role as well. He's been impressive. Even though they've lost the last couple, he's been good.
Good kid, career highlight so far. Anyway, moving on.
Chum this week.
A lot of talent to work with. There's some good kids coming in that Dragons team.
He's off contract November 1. Well, available.
Yeah,
however that
November
works. My chump this week is Joe Stimson, the hair pull. Now, Marty Tapau is a friend of mine, Sydney Kings follower. You can't be doing that to the big fella, and I wouldn't be doing it too many times either, because have a look at the pipes and the legs on that. I don't know if you want to be doing that. So Joe Stimson, chump.
I'm surprised you didn't go with Moses Sully for throwing Josh Schuster's phone in the water, because I thought to myself, if that's a joke, if that is a joke, I don't see the funny side of it.
I think it's funny.
I thought it was ruthless, and I'm kind of into that stuff, so...
Michael, protect your phone. All right? A lot of good contacts in that. And remember, round 25 is the final round for you to get involved with NRL Pick'em. And that means there's one final chance of winning 100 grand. Last week, 6 winners claimed more than $16,000 each after correctly picking 4 margins in round 24. To win, head to nrl.com/pick'em and correctly select the margins for the following 4 games. You can see them on screen there. Eels, Panthers, Knights, Broncos, Titans, Warriors, West Tigers, Bulldogs.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no one gets anywhere near that this weekend.
Okay. And there will be plenty of interest in the team list that drop tomorrow at 4 p.m. You can get them first on NRL Teams with Neve Owens, Brett Kamali and Robbie Farah at 3:55 p.m. The teams are in at 4 o'clock. Gents, bring on the final round of footy. 8 games, I'm going to sit back and watch every single one of them because there's nothing else to do at the moment.
If you're in New South Wales, our lucky Queensland viewers,
Yeah, get out there
enjoying
and...
it.
Yeah. Michael, you're looking great. Good to see you.
Thank you, Zachary.
And Jamie, keep champion. All right, thanks for joining us for Inside the NRL. We'll see you next Monday.